What's up, goofballs? Welcome back to Opinionate. I'm Kooks, and boy do we have a lot to discuss today. First things first, I hope you guys all had an amazing Easter or spring equinox or just long weekend, whatever it may have been. Today we're going to be starting with our what would you do, and that's going to lead us into the topic I actually want to talk about today. So I'm going to leave a timestamp on the screen if you want to skip straight to that, because I truly think that everyone in the world could benefit from hearing what I want to say and at least trying to adapt that into their lifestyle. But as you're about to see with our what would you do, I'm probably not the best person to speak on this topic, but boy do I have a lot to say. However, this is why I'm excited for this to evolve into something where I can have different people to come onto the podcast to not only share their own story, but give their advice and opinion on topics, open up a conversation about whatever they want to open a conversation about, and I don't just want that to be people that are already in the public eye. I want to be able to bring you guys on if you want to come and share your story or give advice or whatever it may be. So hopefully one day we can do that, because like I said, you're about to see why I'm probably not the best person to speak on this, but boy am I going to. And then afterwards, when we get into the other thing, our what's poppin' and stuff is just going to bleed into the same thing, because the topic I want to talk about kind of encompasses all of it, so let's get into it. Also, ignore my appearance. All I could be bothered with today was this bad boy, so we're really putting a lot of expectation into one little lip balm that is empty. So, moving on. If you have a what would you do that you guys want to send in, whether it's because you want advice for something, want us to open up a conversation about a certain topic, whatever it may be, feel free to send a voice note or a message over to my Instagram. I'll pop her up on the screen and hopefully we can incorporate it in one of the upcoming videos. Let's dive into this one. Okay, I'm going to try and read the whole thing before I start talking about any of it, but like I said, I've got a lot to say about this, even though I'm not the right person to be saying it. I'm so sorry. Alright, this one says, what would you do? Sorry if this is TMI, but I can't tell if this is normal or not. Okay, so I've been with my boyfriend for almost 6 months. I'm 19, black, and he's almost 26, white. And before anyone mentions the age gap, I grew up early and my past situationship was even older than he is. I only mention age because at 19 I've only had 3 sexual partners and he has had over 20, which makes me question if this is normal and just my first time experiencing it. Okay, so here's the ... issue? Question mark? My boyfriend has started doing this thing when we're having sex. Not every time, but when things get a bit spicier than usual, choking, slapping, etc., he has started calling me the N-word. He doesn't just outright say it, it's always something along the lines of, who's my dirty little N-word, or do you like that, you little N-word. I've never heard him say it outside of the bedroom, and honestly it's not even something I ever really say myself, even though technically I can. I just can't tell if this is normal and I hate confrontation, so I'm too scared to bring it up and sound dumb. I don't know, sorry again if it's too much information, but what would you do? There are so many layers to this. And we are going to start with the age, because I know that you said not to mention the age thing, but just give me a second. The topic we're about to discuss is there's no such thing as normal, there's only such thing as your normal. And for you, your normal might be dating people that are older than you, and that might be well and fine. But I need you to shift to what his normal is. And if his normal is dating people that much younger than him, for example, could you see yourself dating a mature 13-year-old? Because as someone that's closer to his age, I'll be 25 soon. I could not see myself even entertaining a conversation with someone whose age ends in a teen, unless it's coming from like a sisterly level or an advice-based conversation. This person, you say, is almost 26, and the fact you mentioned he's almost 26 but not that you're almost 20 kind of tells me that maybe you were 18, which is an added layer. Now, the fact that the N-word even comes up as a thought in his head is not okay. Let alone the fact that he's trying to verbalize it, let alone the fact he's verbalizing it in the bedroom in a demeaning or degrading manner, is all not okay. You say, I don't know if this is normal, and this is what we're about to discuss, but there is literally no such thing as normal, only what's normal for you. And normal is just a sign that something is in a routine. We'll get into that in a minute, but if any of those things are normal to this person, you have to imagine the different things they excuse, the different behaviours they excuse, the different thoughts that they have. If these are the ones they're willing to voice, imagine what they're not willing to voice. As someone with the same coloured skin as I have, that word shouldn't even come into their mind. In this day and age, this man is fully aware of what that word means. He's using it when he's trying to be degrading or derogatory in the bedroom. He's adding the word little to it all the time, and knowing the age gap, I'm just saying. And again, I know you said it's normal for you to date older than you because you had to grow up early. But again, would you date a 13-year-old that had to grow up early? Because I hope the answer's no. But my love, none of this is normal. And if it is normalized, the only word coming to mind is run. Run. You don't want to look back in, I was about to say 10 years time, but honestly even 5 years time, and then have all these realizations and then regret not living the life that you should have been living as a 19-year-old at the time. Not only that, but you mentioned being scared to bring it up or have the confrontation, and this could be all to do with your own past and your own thought processes and stuff. But when you're in a relationship with someone, especially a sexual relationship with someone, that discussion should not be a difficult one to have. Any communication surrounding anything, especially sex, should be easy. Maybe not the actual conversation itself, but you should at least be comfortable to bring up anything that you want to bring up. I can't tell you what you should and shouldn't do or can and can't do or anything like that, but I do really want you to implore the idea of comparing different parts of your own experiences, your own life, etc. Really analysing what you want in your future and what you deserve in your future. Really analysing the type of person that they are and trying to take those rose-coloured glasses off to really see them for who they are. Look into their morals, their beliefs, etc. and figure out what you do and don't think is right for your life at the moment and for the future you want. Even if you have younger siblings or friends or anyone that you're able to set yourself aside and picture them in these situations and think about how right or wrong you would think of it for those other people. I know it is so hard when you do grow up early to not try and be so much further ahead in your life because you feel like an adult as a teenager. And this is why I would love to be able to have other people on to discuss it. Like another person of colour would be able to give you so much better advice on this topic, but all I can say is none of what you've just described is normal. Like I said, there's no such thing, but it is so awful if those things are normalised for this man. I hope you're okay. I hope you're able to actually assess what you do and don't deserve and do and don't want in this life, and I hope you're actively able to put yourself first and actually find those things for yourself. It's obviously a what would you do, so I'm not going to say you have to leave him and all this. That would be my advice for you, to really take some time to discover yourself, live your life as a 19-year-old. It's so exciting. There's so many memories for you to make and experiences for you to have. So my what would you do for you is I want you to actually sit and think about the future you want for yourself. Sit and think about who you are as a person, the things you deserve, and really sit and think about who they are without the rose-coloured glasses on. If anyone has any advice for our diva, please put them in the comments for her, but no, my dear, not normal. Not normal. Now, speaking of not normal, this is our main topic for the day, and I've said it just before, but I'm going to say it again. There is no such thing as normal, there is only such thing as your normal. Normal is just a sign that there is routine of something or that something is stagnant. And this can be good things and it can be bad things. It can be normal is brushing your teeth every night before bed, or it could be that normal for you is that your brain resorts to suicidal ideation as soon as something goes wrong. Or normal for you could mean that you see the same influences on your phone every single day, but the thing is that is only normal for you. And it doesn't always mean it's a good thing, it doesn't always mean it's a bad thing, it just means there's a routine of something. Now when it gets harmful, it is when it comes to things like how your brain thinks, how you talk to yourself, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, how you react to certain situations, what you do and don't get jealous over, what you do when you feel those feelings, the different things you interact with on social media, your algorithms, what you see day in, day out on your phone, the political views you have, the environment you grew up in, and the beliefs and morals surrounding you at a young age, and whether or not you explored those things for yourself as you got older, or if you sat in that normalized mindset or belief system or whatever it may be. You see it all the time, all around the world. Now, on par with the whole no such thing as normal, I need you to understand that you have full control over the future you want, the brain you want in the future, how you talk to yourself, what your brain reacts to, etc. You have full control over it. And this is why in my last video about rewiring your brain and stuff like that, I always say things like fake it till you make it, delulu till it come true, manifestation station, gentle parent yourself. Sometimes you literally have to fake your way to having the brain you want, the life you want, the future you want, whatever it may be. That's why you always see celebrities say, how'd you get so successful? Oh, I was delusional. It's why things like hypnosis work, etc. Like when I tell you there's not a single thing that you're not able to rewire your brain into doing, into managing better, treating you better, whatever it may be, I mean it. Sometimes you literally just have to fake it till you make it. Okay, so I'm going to use my ex situationship as an example because this boy just happened to hit multiple target areas of this, and when I tell you this was normal for him, like, he genuinely has these belief systems, he thinks this is normal. It's not only him that thinks it, because he went to work on the Monday after and was literally being praised by all his colleagues and stuff for like the fact that he had this conversation with a girl. And it's so cool that there's girls out there that have the same mindset and morals and stuff, which but this is not just a him issue, this is an issue everywhere, and you see it with the manosphere, you see it all the time online, and these people genuinely think this is normal because this is the things that they see daily, this is the routine they're in, this is what's normalized for them. So picture this, I take him to, well, he drove, but I take him to one of my favourite little beach spots. It's a really nice cove, it's really secluded however, and this is the conversation we have while we're down there. Bear in mind, we had been talking for like a year together. I thought we had such similar like belief systems, morals, etc. One of the first times we started talking, we're talking about chakras and all this different stuff. Now all of a sudden we're at this secluded spot and this is what follows. So somehow we get onto a topic and he makes a slight comment about trans people. And something along the lines of how they all need severe therapy and this and that, and I kind of tried to justify what he said for him, like, yeah, no, I think that it should be like a fully funded thing. If you're transitioning, they should also cover therapy and stuff to help through the transition process. No, this man fully thought like, no, if you wanted to transition, you needed therapy because something's wrong. But then the conversation kind of moves to gay in general and still along those lines. Meanwhile, I'm pansexual sitting right next to this man. But then the conversation kind of shifts to how we feel about cheating and things like that, and how it's the most disgraceful thing. If you feel the urge to cheat, you leave your partner before you do anything like that. Like, we're both kind of on par there. But then he mentions how he would never get a divorce and he doesn't believe in divorce, and then he makes a joke about how if he ever had to get a divorce, he would his wife and kids and then himself. So I'm like adding all these bits together in my head, like, so if you ever cheated, you would literally end your family because you felt the need to cheat. Like, we're just adding up things while we're sitting there at this secluded beach. And then somehow it moves to the topic of like how he was saying how he was giving one of his mates shit because he's like going to therapy for the abuse that he endured as a child through his parents. But the boy I was talking to and I was at the beach with was shitting on him and saying how like, no, you need to hit kids, and how that's how he's the man he is today, and like going down that route with the conversation all of a sudden. And when I tell you, I'm probably missing like 3 or 4 different things that he said that I was like I genuinely, at first I thought he was joking, or I was trying to justify what he was saying in a way that I was like with the therapy thing, like I was trying to make it sound like he was saying what he wasn't saying. And then things started getting really scary after that. This whole situation ended up ending because after that I tried to put some distance in between us, but I was too scared to like cut off things so like dead set. But then one day he's telling me about how he had a dream where he took someone else's life, and he told me he used blue tape and a rope for it and stuff. After telling me this, the next day he sends me a photo of those bits of equipment in his car. And he was a tradie, so he did have a lot of work stuff in his ute, but that was enough for me to be like, okay, no, we need to block now. I don't block people, I have too much of a guilty conscience, it's a whole thing. But that was where it was like, okay, no, it's not only my safety at risk, I live with my siblings and stuff, like I'm not about to risk other people's lives for me trying to slowly separate, right? But when I tell you, these are all things that this man thought was normal because he had like normalized that in his brain. These were his normal, but not only his, it was the people he worked with, the boys around him and stuff. Like, they were genuinely praising him for being able to have like this conversation with a girl and meeting such a cool girl and shit. No, she's scared. She's not cool, she's scared. She took you to a secluded beach and this is where you want to slip these things? Like, But this is what I mean by there's no such thing as normal, there's only such thing as your normal, and it bleeds into every aspect of life. Political views. If you think of MAGA people as a prime example, so many people now are having these realizations that they don't follow MAGA beliefs and views and whatnot. But it's taken for the world to get to this point, and they are full-grown adults, for them to even step aside from the morals and the mindsets and the views that they grew up with and actually start thinking for themselves. And it happens with literally everything. And I'm not just talking about big things like that, I'm talking about the way your brain talks to you as well, dude. For example, my entire life up until probably a year and a half ago, the thing about your brain is you don't realize it can be any different until it starts being different, right? And this is where the faking it till you make it comes in. Because when I tell you, for the first 23 years of my life, I thought it was so normal to think you're being perceived 24/7, be paranoid, be hyper alert, be constantly in a state of fight or flight, have constant suicidal ideation. There was just so much with my brain that was so unwell, and I didn't even know it was unwell. I had been collecting mental health diagnoses like they were Pokemon as a teenager, but when I tell you I didn't realize just how wrong my brain was until I started making progress in the other direction and realizing, like, oh, it can be different. Oh, maybe this is a bit more like what other brains function as. But I started actually understanding that you truly can change and manage everything about your brain, your life, your future, literally everything. You just sometimes have to be delulu about it in the beginning. Not only that, but it comes down to the things you see and you interact with on social media. For the longest time, literally since I've had social media, my normal and what I thought was everyone's normal was all of my social media being filled with disordered content. I was on sides of the internet from such a young age that most of you probably don't even know exist, and that goes for you guys too. The people you see on your phone day in, day out, you could tell your best mate about and they won't have any clue who you're on about. But to you, it's your normal. And unfortunately, we live in a world that honestly just breeds different disorders. And if we look into eating disorders and stuff, so much is normalized. If you're someone that takes laxatives, Ozempic, heavily restricts, over-exercises, anything even similar, please listen to this. But when I tell you, you will be dealing with the consequences of your actions one day, I mean it. I mean that with absolutely everything. Whether it's as small as the way you talk to yourself now, you're going to be doing that 10 times heavier in the future. Or if it's the little things you do now, like taking laxatives, for example. I cannot express to you enough how harmful shit like that is for your body, and you will be dealing with the consequences one day, and they are not fun. It's down to even the tiniest things. All those things I just listed, the laxatives, Ozempics, heavy restriction, over-exercising, if we look at even the tiniest little problem they cause for you now, it is such big consequences in the future. All of those things cause electrolyte imbalances, right? Something that seems really insignificant now. But I can guarantee you, especially, we'll start with just laxatives, right? All of these things do this, but we'll start with laxatives for an example. If you consistently take laxatives, especially if you consistently take an abundance of laxatives, chances are your electrolytes are constantly going back and forth, but when they're doing that, they are causing so much harm to your body. Too much calcium, which is very common if you take laxatives, hypercalcemia, that causes so many issues within itself, and it is literally 1% of the issues that taking those things are causing, and the consequences in the future look like, I don't know if I even have the balls to insert a clip of what my teeth look like. But when I say hypercalcemia eats away at your bones, eats away at your teeth, eats away at your hair, and if you're not dealing with those things now, you will be one day. And the longer you misuse those things, the more you use them, etc., the worse those consequences are going to be, and the harder it's going to be to try and reverse the consequences of your actions. And trust me, one day you are going to be trying to reverse those consequences. Like I said, that is literally 1% of these things, and that's just from one electrolyte imbalance. And the thing is, there's multiple electrolyte imbalances that add to that exact problem. If we want to go the digestive route, dude, I literally have a body that doesn't work, and a lot of that is because I treated myself like shit my entire life. I can't keep anything in my stomach, my body doesn't have the ability to digest or break down things. Everything gets randomly paralyzed, from gastroparesis in the stomach to my bowels, my intestines, all of it. My body just does not fucking work. And that's due to the consequences of my actions, due to the consequences of the actions of a doctor that my actions put me in the hands of. I have chronic illnesses, it's like what came first, chicken or the egg? I have chronic illnesses that developed from treating myself like shit, from medical mistreatment, that were worsened from all of that. Like, I can't express to you enough, even if it is normal for you and normal for your friends, it doesn't mean it's normal, it doesn't mean it's okay, it's just that it's a routine that you have somewhat normalized for yourself, or society has normalized for you. But just like everything else, you are going to be dealing with the consequences of your actions one day. And this is what I mean by you have full control over the future you want. You need to start rewiring your brain, start treating yourself better, start talking to yourself better, start actively living the life that you want in the future, and that means cutting those things out. I promise you it means cutting those things out. If your social media is full of different disordered content, whether it's super depressive content, whether it's restrictive eating content, whatever it might be, you need to start actively changing your algorithm. You refuse to watch those things, you refuse to interact with those things, you start actively seeking out the content that you want in your future. The way you want your life to look in the future, you start actively looking at content like that. Just like rewiring your brain, you have to rewire your phone sometimes, and the things around you. So I want you all to actually sit and think about anything in your life that is not satisfying you, that's not actively working towards the future that you want, whether it's the way you talk to yourself, the way you react to things, the things you do with your day-to-day life, the way you socialize, what you do with your friends when you socialize. So many people think drinking constantly is normal. It's not. It might be normal for you guys, but it's not normal. And it's so easy if your environment does normalize those things, if the people around you are also normalizing the same things. It happens with alcohol, it happens with drugs, it happens with habits in general, it happens with social life. It just, literally everything. There's just so many people in this world that do not think for themselves, but don't realize they don't think for themselves. There are so many things in this world that people normalize and think are normal, but again, no such thing as normal, only routine. Only what's normal for you. And it's not just like how you talk to yourself, it's the ways you react to things that cause you to react. If you're someone whose brain automatically goes to jealousy or hatred or whatever it may be, it might have been that way your whole life, but it doesn't have to be that way for the rest of your life. Actually, maths. Married at first sight is a prime example of things that should never have been normalized, and you can just see how hardwired certain people are into being honestly horrible people. So many of the people on that show have normalized in their head that being cool is to be a cunt. So many of them automatically turn to a victim complex. Certain people really normalized really horrific views, whether it was really misogynistic, whatever it might have been. Honestly, this season of the show, I don't even watch the damn show, but just what I see on social media was enough for it to literally make me unwell. But they are the prime example of what happens when you normalize those sort of things in your brain, certain behaviors, reactions, whatever it might be. And the thing is, every single one of those people on that show have the ability to now go and actively put the work into changing how they treat themselves, how they treat others, etc. But they have to first be able to recognize that what they're doing is not normal. They've just normalized it for themselves. And the same goes for people that feel the need to actually leave hateful comments online. Especially when it comes to things like trolls and stuff, that's a whole other layer of it. But if you troll people on the internet, it's not normal to even think the things you think, let alone actively act on them or say them. And I promise you, the only person you're keeping miserable and toxic is yourself. And if you guys can actively change yourself, I can guarantee when you actually start changing your brain and being a better person, you're gonna look back so embarrassed. I look at what you do and I get secondhand embarrassed. Like, I know you're gonna look back and be so ashamed of the person you hopefully were. But like I said, even down to the minute things, like if you see a video that you don't particularly like, or whatever it may be, if you feel the need to actively comment on that, that in itself is a bizarre thing to do. I've had so many different people that have come into my live streams, tried to troll. I've brushed it off, told them the same thing, like, this isn't normal, I hope you can get help or change. And the amount of people I've had come back and apologize for it, I don't expect apologies or anything, but it makes me so proud of those people to actually see that, one, they've had growth, two, they all seem so much happier, three, they actively seeked me out again just to let me know they've had that growth and that they're sorry and whatnot. Like, The only person you're keeping miserable is yourself if you keep normalizing shit like that. And like I said, it's the smallest things and it's the biggest things. Like, even, I've said it a few times, but I think between the ages of 15 and 17, maybe even all the way up to 19, at least that's how old I was when I was going through this, but you have all these realizations of what was right and wrong about your upbringing and your childhood and your environment and shit like that. And that can be a really overwhelming thing. But it doesn't just stop there. Like, no matter what you're doing, you will be dealing with the consequences of your actions one day. And that goes for physical things, that goes for the way you treat yourself, the way you think, whatever it may be. Every single thing you do, you will deal with the consequences of your actions one day. It happens when you're a kid, and it's the environment around you, the way the people raising you react, their rules, their morals, however your brain develops to start talking to yourself and having those same rules, the reactions, the morals, whatever it may be, the person you grow into, the environment you grow into, etc. So by the time you're an adult, you realize what's right and what's wrong. You have your own normalizations, you have your own morals and belief systems. Sometimes it's going to be the exact same ones you grew around, sometimes it's not. But as an adult, it is actively your responsibility to try and change the things that you have about yourself for the better, whether it's your belief systems, whether it's the way you treat yourself, whatever it may be. I just so want you guys to understand that there is so much in this world that is corrupt and controlled, and simultaneously you have control over nothing and everything all at once. And if you can understand that you have control over the future you want, the brain you have, how you treat yourself, how you treat others, the things that affect you, the ways you manage your different mental illnesses, whatever it may be, you have full control over changing those things. I'm not saying it's easy in any way. I'm just saying it's possible, and sometimes it starts with faking it. But as soon as you can understand that, you can start actually working towards the life you want, the brain you want, the brain you deserve, the future you deserve. Oh my god, I'm being so serious when I say fake it till you make it, be delulu till it come true, manifestation station. I could talk about this topic for so long because there's so many different layers to it, and I really wish we could sit here, but I'm borrowing my sister's camera again, and it only films for 20 minutes at a time. I obviously still don't have the camera, the equipment to record audio, or even edit my videos, to be honest, but my whole goal for this is to be able to have a platform for all of us to have a place to tell our stories, give and receive advice if need be, to open up conversations about topics you guys want people to be talking about. Hopefully I'll be able to bring guests on sooner rather than later, but hopefully eventually we'll be able to bring guests on and really get this thing going, and the videos will be much longer at some point too. But please just start faking your way into treating yourself the way you deserve to be treated, into living the life that you deserve to be living. Hopefully you guys will get to see my social media and everything grow and evolve alongside myself, and hopefully you'll reap all the benefits of all of that as well along the way. I might put in a little video of just my goals for myself at the end of this as well, because we've got a whole manifestation station. There's so many different cool ways I want to help people all over the world, and we've got to break it down into layers so that hopefully we can actually do it all, and with each layer of success hopefully be able to do the next thing, which gets bigger and better until in the end there's just this one big well-oiled machine that helps people in all sorts of cool ways. Oh my god, also just quickly, I'm about to do my next giveaway over on TikTok, and I was trying to find another pair of the sunnies you guys always compliment for the giveaway, and guess what they don't sell anymore? The damn sunnies. I went to 2 different towns for it, so look, I'm still trying to find something to take its place in the giveaway, but if you're interested in that one, feel free to go check it out over on the TikTok. Alright, I have run out of time already, so I've got to skedaddle skadoodle with this funky little noodle again. But if there's ever anything you guys want us to open a conversation about, any topics, any what would you do situations you guys want to send through, feel free to swing a message or a voice note over to my Instagram or my TikTok, and I will try my best to incorporate it as soon as possible. I'm also going to do a little Q&A and let you guys ask me anything for any lore, any story times, literally anything. So if you want to ask anything for that, I'll put a post up very soon, and that'll probably be the next video because it's a bit shorter, and hopefully I can borrow this equipment again to film soon. The other thing I'm looking at is I would love to be able to get a second phone so that I can just use that phone to create content with for the meantime, but that's also a bit further down the track when we're able to. But as for now, I'm going to leave y'all with a forehead kiss. Please start being delulu till it come true. Start treating yourself the way you want to be treated. Start making your brain talk to you the way you want it to talk to you in the future. Start working towards the life you deserve in the future. Alright, forehead kisses all around. Look after yourselves, and we will yap again very soon. Bye, thanks for yapping.